Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Against All Odds. And as I say at the beginning of every podcast episode, this is purely a selfish reason why I film all these, because I get to speak to inspirational people to share with you. And today is no exception. I have followed this man on social media for about 6 months now, and he's absolutely just fascinated me. It's Keavo Up A Mountain, also known as Andy. How are you, my lovely?
Very well, thank you. What a great introduction. It's great being stalked. I don't mind having a stalker. I like that.
Yes. Yeah, I did. I literally found you on TikTok first because I hike around the Peak District, and obviously the algorithm picks it up what you like. And you kept showing up day after day on my TikTok, and I was like, this bloke's got it. I'm inspired.
Bad penny, this one. He won't go away.
I absolutely love it. So you've been a bit of an internet sensation with this hiking, haven't you?
Yeah, it started a couple of years, well, about 18 months, 2 years ago. And it was just really a labour of love. I was going through a lot of troubles myself. So hiking then became my sort of second, it just became a real place where I was finding solace. I could go and do a lot of thinking. I'd quit alcohol. I'd started, I'd removed myself from all the destructive habits that I'd been going over in the last 30 years, and hiking was just perfect for me because it's something that I used to do back in the army when I was a young soldier. I used to love getting up in the hills, and I just thought, this is it. This is what I need. I need to remove myself from all the toxic stuff, get myself into the mountains. And then I just started making videos while I was out there. I thought, I'll document it and just have a bit of a laugh. And that's where, when I'm out there, I just feel like there's no one else that can bother me. I'm just me and myself. And that's what comes across, I think, on the videos.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It really does. So I kept seeing you hiking all over the place, and then you started to kind of unravel like your past and your journey and why you did it. So you said that you'd had a load of crap over 30 years. So what actually went on?
Joined the army when I was literally straight from school. So I left in June '87, and within 2 3 weeks I was actually in the army because I've been doing. The only reason I did this was to get a few days off here and there at school. I was going to the Army Careers Office. I thought it'd be a great. But then
Sneaky.
I ended up joining. So I joined the junior leaders in joining for being the Royal Corps of Transport. So I was training to be a driver, but you can't actually sign on in the army. So you can't commit yourself to a length of period of time until you're
No.
18.
Right, okay.
So I had to do sort of 12 months basic training, which was really tough. It was just, it sort of grounds you and drags you by the scruff of the neck and sort of teaches you what the army's about. And then you get sent out to do what's called your posting. So that'd be like your first ever place that you go. So I did my bike license, my HGV license, my car license, all while I was 17.
Wow.
Then got sent to Germany for my first posting, which at the time was great because I was loving it. It was just like I was a very, very small fish in a big pond. You know, it was like
Yeah,
it was with some guys there that and drinking culture then was just ridiculous.
yeah,
What the army was sort of built on. You went out with your mates at night time, you just got absolutely hammered in the naffy bar because it was like 30 pence for a beer. It was ridiculous. And it just became one of those things where I drank more, I drank more, I got myself in trouble, I started going out fighting, and I just became one of these characters that's what I did. But it became a bit of a problem. my
right.
sergeant mate, my sergeant said to me one day, he said, we was all out on parade in the morning because he used to have to go on parade first thing in the morning. He said, I need 4 volunteers now to go up the Gulf. So this was when the first Gulf War was kicking off. And he said, Keaveney, you're one of them.
Right.
So I didn't
Shit.
really have much of a choice. Yeah, shit. I
Yeah.
was like, you know. So that was me. So I got transferred to another regiment in Germany to go driving these basically the brand new wagons that they just bought from Leyland Daft. You see them all the time, like in bin wagons, they'll pick up their own load with like a big hook arm, but they'd only just been brought out then. So we went out there driving them. We set up all the first barrage ships when they came up, when they landed in Al Jubail, which is where we was situated in Saudi Arabia. And we took everything from the ships and went and set the ground war up.
Right.
So we spent sort of 4 months solidly on the road, taking stuff from the ships out into the desert, just setting up ammunition dumps and just creating basically bases for when the ground war kicked off. But that's really where my sort of trouble started, was when the ground war kicked off on pretty much on the day that it sort of happened. I was training a young lad to use the wagons that we was using. And on the day that this incident happened, he moved 2 or 3 wagons behind me. I got my original co-driver back. So we used to carry these things called multi-launch rocket systems, which were massive. You can imagine like a big plastic tube, but you'd have probably 50 or 60 of them on the back of your wagon. Each one of them would have 60 bombs in it,
Wow.
and every time it got fired, it would each one of those bombs would go into split into 644, and it just wipe out like a kilometre square. But they worked on pressure, so when they landed on the floor, it was like a big silver tennis ball. That's what they looked like. And Jason, God bless him, he jumped out of the cab, picked one up because we'd stopped. We was coming out of Iraq, we was coming back into Saudi. He jumps out of the wagon, picked one up, jumped back in the wagon, and it
Oh,
just went
mate.
up. So I'd been trained as a medic, and everyone was screaming, "Need a medic! Need a medic!" I ran back. The driver was still holding the steering wheel. It just looked like someone had thrown shrapnel all around him, and you know, like you get like a knife thrower and they throw it. That's what it looked like. It was just weird. He hadn't been hit by anything. And it just literally take his hands off the steering wheel, pull him out the cab to get to Jason, who was in the passenger side. His half his arms missing, his legs were all blown to fucking. His face was just a mess. So I had to try and save him. So there was me there trying to give first aid, and this other guy. We quickly had to get him out of the cab because we realised that this was all going sort of tits up, and it wasn't going well. We put an airway in. There was just blood coming out, and I don't know how long we was there, but it felt like forever. It was just we was doing CPR, and it all I remember is just getting tapped on the shoulder, and I don't know whether it was my sergeant who was there. He just said, "Andy, he's gone," and it was just like
Wow.
19-year-old at this point, and I'm just.
Yeah.
It took years. Well, when I came back from that, it was, and I'll tell you another thing. Where I was just sat on the night of that happening. I was sat on the flatbed of a wagon, just looking out on the desert, covered in his blood, thinking his mum and dad don't even know yet.
Blimey.
And I think that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest things that sort of stuck with me because I felt guilty because he'd sort of died in my arms. And I know it wasn't, when I look back at it now, it wasn't my fault and there's
No.
nothing really I could have done. But that doesn't change the fact that that's going to live with you and haunt you.
Of course, yeah.
So we came from the Gulf, but all the rave scene was starting then. Literally, just as we was coming back, it was like early 1991, so it was going off everywhere, all over the country. I lived in a hotspot, so I live in a little town called Lee in Lancashire. So we had Blackburn, we had Manchester, we had all these places that were going doing all these illegal raves, and I just thought, this is what I need to do.
Yeah. Like a blowout, you know?
Just completely blow it. We had like 5 weeks on leave after that, and that's all I did. I just went to parties and went to raves. Then it got a little bit too much because I was just taking drugs every day. So when I had to go back to camp, I then started thinking, well, shit, where am I going to get my drugs from? So I took some back with me, and I got caught on the Dutch-German border
Right.
and ended up. This was They basically ripped the car apart. It was, I don't know whether we'd been sort of tipped off, but anyway, they had the seats out, they had everything out, and it was in a little border crossing called Venlo, which was there was never any sort of border crossing police there, but this time there was. So I ended up in a military prison. I got dishonourable discharge out the army. None of the PTSD came into it. None of the fact that, oh well, look what he's been and done, and look what's
Yeah.
happened to him. It was just a case of, right, we found you with drugs, and you're off. And they thought that I was like one of the trade wins, you know what I mean? The amount
Yeah.
of drugs, because I took a sizable amount back with me because I didn't want to get stuck over there with it. So then I just went into sort of 30 odd years then of blaming everyone else. I got
Yeah.
caught in a victim mindset, and at that time I had no idea what a victim mindset was. But I was coming in relationships. I was holding jobs down, and I was doing well. I was holding really good management positions down in places like Mercedes and Audi, and uh, no problem going to work and grafting because that's what I was always used to. But there was always underlying issues with me going out, taking drugs, just doing that and repeating the process over and over again.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I spent sort of 30 years doing that.
So that's how you like your coping mechanism, I suppose.
Yeah, but it was destructive
Yeah.
to me and to people around me.
Yeah. So when was the moment where you were like, right, this has got to change?
During COVID, because COVID hit, and it was 2021. I remember I was like, I was on my own because I split up with another partner, and I just turned 50 at January 21, and I was just thinking, this can't go on. How do I get myself out of this? And because I was in it, it was the only common denominator in any of the situations that ever happened was me. And I just started. I read a book called The Power of Ted, which
Yeah.
was all about sort of the victim mindset. And when I was reading it, I was just like, oh shit, that is. I could just see myself in it. And
Yeah.
I think reading that book flipped a switch to sort of open the world to then start looking at other avenues, looking at. I just became obsessed with like listening to podcasts and reading more books and learning more about human mind and what have I just spent 30 years doing? Well, now what can I do to sort of change it? I really became, like I say, obsessed with that. So that's what I started doing. And didn't happen all at once, it happened over a bit of a gradual period. And then March 2023, we used to go away once a year with all the guys that was in the Gulf with. We'd go to Benidorm and all these kinds of places once a year, have a bit of a reunion. But it was always a car crash. It was just,
Yeah.
I'd end up not going to bed for like 4 days, and it got ridiculous. So that was like the last proper blowout that I had. And I remember coming back from that, I was a broken man, really. And I had an operation booked in for my shoulder. So I'd had arthritis in my shoulder and I had some injections in it, but they weren't working. So he said the option that you've got was, and I could go private at the time because I was working for Audi. So I thought, well, I might as well do it. And anyway, it was like 4 days after I got back. So you can imagine I'm coming down off 4 days of being an absolute lunatic. And then I've got to go in for this shoulder operation. So I did it. And then I've got 2 weeks to sit on my own because it was
Right.
a lot worse than what I thought it was going to be, the recovery period. And I'm just sat at home, all this going through my head. And that's really where the change happened. I just
Yeah.
had enough of feeling what I felt when I was over in Benidorm because I wasn't enjoying myself. I was just repeating habits of chaos.
Yeah.
And then just that 2 weeks of being sat on my own, I sort of made my mind up. I thought, this is it. I'm making a change here. And as look at it, I got invited to a wedding just at the end of that 2 week recovery. And I thought, well, I'm going. I'm not going to drink because I'm obviously on shitloads of painkillers. And I went, and all my mates had been there all day. Really sunny day. It's only sort of 2 miles away from where I live. And I remember walking in this sort of afternoon, and well, it was sort of late evening by the time I got there. They'd been there all day. Everyone was on it. Everyone was pissed, and everyone was just having a ball. And I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, shit, this is what I normally look like. And I'm watching all this behaviour and all this carnage happen from a sober set of eyes. And I thought, so I stayed for a couple of hours, drove home, and on the way home, I just got this amazing feeling of just like, yeah, this is sort of what I want. I got home, got in bed, and the morning when I woke up and I made myself a brew and got back in bed, and just knew, thought this, because I knew that they'd be hanging out their asses. Some of them would probably still been at it at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I just thought, that's it. I'm hanging my boots up here. I'm done with that life. And I knew. So that's when hiking sort of came in because I thought, I need another outlet. I need to go and do something positive and replace those negative, destructive behaviours. And that's what I did. And that's where the hiking channel sort of
I absolutely love
went.
that. You got sick of your own shit, didn't you, mate?
Shit. Absolutely sick of my own shit. And you've got to do that for yourself, I think. You can't have
Yeah.
anybody that'll tell you, because if anyone
Yeah.
would have told me to do that, I would have told them to do one.
Yeah. I think you've got to be ready, haven't you, to change? And the hiking, I suppose it was just like a different outlet for you because just doing the same thing over and over again, you get like the same result. So you did something completely different and got into hiking. Absolutely incredible, mate.
Just thought one morning, and I was the most ill-prepared hiker probably in the world. I just went with like a flask and some butties, and I was just in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. Didn't know what to expect. Now I know that I've got to take a lot more kit than that.
Yeah.
But I was lucky with the weather on this day, and I just remember I'm just going climbing this hill and downloaded this map, and it absolutely nearly broke me. But when I got to the top of this mountain, I was just looking out, thinking, "Oh my god!" It sort
Yeah.
of unearthed something inside me that was just like, "Yeah, I remember you used to really like this. You used to like being out in the open. You used to like camping. And it just made me start thinking. And that was it. Then I was just right. When can we do the next one and the next one? And it just that's how I ended up here.
I love it. And do you know what it is? Why I love it, and why I loved your like social media channel. Sorry, it's so simple. Do you know what I mean? Hiking is so simple, and a lot of people will bin it off, going, "No, that won't make me feel better." But it's proven to make us feel better. And you were out there showing everybody, absolutely fantastic.
The power of just being outside, and I think what it does for me is it connects you to something bigger. It makes you realise that you're part of something bigger, and
Yes.
sort of takes you out of your own head because that's what happens sometimes. We all get caught up in it, thinking, overthinking, and all. Because I used to be murdered for that, and I still am every now and again. But when I get out in nature, there's none of that because as soon as I start walking, as soon as I get in them open spaces, everything's just gone, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it feels like I'm back home.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. I mean, like, I regularly talk about things like this with people because our brains haven't changed since evolution, and we're not designed to live in big cities, in little houses, to go outside and get into a car and drive, to eat processed food. We're not designed for that. We are designed to be in wide open spaces, yet we forget that. And it's how we get so burnt out and overwhelmed because it's too much for our brains to take in. So with you, by hiking up a hill has fixed that. And how simple is that? That's great.
Simple. It really is so simple. And just removing yourself from it. And I know I use my phone when I'm out and about because I like making me funny videos, but I don't use it. That's all I do. I'll take it out of my pocket and I'll just literally think of something that comes in my head. And if it makes me laugh, then I'll record it. And then that's it. Phone's gone away and I'm just off on my travels. And I just love that peace of mind. I like having that. I just go and find myself somewhere and I'll just sit there for half an hour and I'll just not think about anything. I'll just be looking and taking everything in. And
Yeah.
when I come back from a day out, it's just like someone's just pressed reset again.
Yeah. So how many times would you say, do you go weekly?
Try to go weekly. It doesn't always happen, but I live quite close to a nature reserve. So if I ever need to get out, like I did do earlier on today, I've literally got something called Pennington Flash at the side of me, which is like the most beautiful nature reserve that's like a 4 mile circuit all the way around this huge lake. So I can just go and do that if I want. But the Lake District is probably my sort of go to. I'm working my way through the Wainwrights as we speak.
I love that. So then a few months or years later, you decided to get into coaching yourself because you realised how different you were feeling.
Yeah. I went through a tough time at work. Like I said, I was a sales manager for Audi and I'd given them really, really good service. And I was working for a boss at the time that I didn't really sort of get on with. He was like our head of business, and me and him sort of clashed a little bit. Anyway, he ended up taking me. We had two managers that was running the used car department, and they decided as a cost cutting measure that they were going to get rid of one of them because we got took over by this big American firm, which was left it left me sort of running the used car department, which was fine. Just meant I had to do more work. But then the used car department started slipping because we didn't have the manpower, and there was a lot of other reasons going on behind it. But they took me to a disciplinary for that, and I was like, "You're actually being serious here? You've had blood out of a stone out of me for the last 11 years. You know the reasons behind why we're falling behind, but yet you still think it's appropriate to take me to a disciplinary." I thought, so I got someone in that was very, very good at HR. She tied him in absolute knots because
Mm.
I was right and they was wrong. We put an appeal in. I won my appeal. And it was like 6 months of me worrying about whether I'm going to lose my job or not, which is sort of stressful for anyone. And they just rang me up on a Teams call and said, "Yeah, we've seen your appeal and we're just going to take it off your record. So we'll just move on." Just like that. And I was like, and it didn't really land with me at the time. And so I spent 2 weeks thinking about it and I was getting more and more frustrated, thinking, no, it's not all right. You
Mm.
just, you've greeted me really, really poorly there. And anyway, the boss said to me one morning, because I go quite quiet when I'm pissed off, and he said, "I've noticed you've been a little bit quiet." So that was it. I said, "Can we just go and have a word?" And we did. And I said, if he was to just offer me a payoff here, I'd be gone, because the way that you've treated me, I don't think I can come back from it. And he was like, oh, well, I don't think they'll pay you. I said, well, I've worked here longer than you. I think you better go and ask the question, because I think I'm held in a bit higher
Yeah.
regard than what you think I am. So we did, and then we ended up making an arrangement, and I sort of kept my car for 3 months. I got paid off, but in this time, I'd been doing a diploma with
Right.
Andy Ramage for like positive psychology and coaching, and it was I just found that it lit me up. I loved it. It was talking to people, just having a conversation, but being able to unlock things that they probably wasn't aware of, and just the way that you could have a really structured, managed conversation with someone, and show them that there's a better way. It was just brilliant, and I thought, this is what I want to do. This is I can get some purpose out of this, because there's no purpose in sort of selling cars. It's just going to be, we want more, we want more, we want more. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the beast. What And I've been searching for something in the back of my mind for maybe more years than I care to imagine.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that that opportunity came up, and that they took me to that disciplinary, because it gave me the courage, and also stopping drinking, because if I was still drinking, I would never have had the courage to quit my job. And that's what I did. I just said, right, I'll resign and I'm off. And I'll start my own coaching business, and we'll see what ends up. We'll just go down that route. And I've literally just thrown myself in at it. And it's in its infancy. I'm a few months into it, but I'm free. I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'll live and die on my sword, as they say.
Yeah. I love that. I think you're made from it, because I always say to people, you normally find people that are impacting the world the way you do, it's because of a reason. You've got a massive reason. And people will resonate with you, because they'll go, oh, yeah, I felt like that, or I've been through that. And not to knock anybody that's university trained, but if you've gone to university and you've not had those experiences, you can't really resonate with people. So people will always warm to you because you get it.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of why I've got into this, because yes, I know I needed to go and get the qualifications, and I haven't finished there. I've got a diploma, but I would like to go and get further qualifications. However, I believe that everything that I've been through has led me to this point, to then be able to be in a much better position to coach from the lived experience, not just from a textbook.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So what kind of like people do you coach? Is it men, women, just men, or
It's just really, so what I've gone into, obviously I've got the diploma in, I've done an alcohol-free performance coach
fab?
training, so I can do that. I've got that in my back pocket, which would be great, because I know I've had issues with alcohol, and if I can help anyone down that route, brilliant. But I've more so gone towards the resilience and mindset, because that's where I've struggled over the last 30 years. And if anyone would have said to me, well, if you just change your mindset, and if you just do this, and I would have been like, oh, I had to sort of see that myself, work
Yes.
out that I had the wrong mindset. I was in a fixed mindset for years, and now I understand all that and how it works. I'm just like, oh, right, well, I can go and help other people here, and that's what I've gone into. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
really enjoying it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I love both of them, because the alcohol, we are a society that we drink if we're celebrating, if we're stressed, if we're
Yeah,
grieving, if we've had a long day at work. I mean, it's a social thing. Society has created that problem. And, a lot of people just only see that as a way out, So I think that's absolutely incredible what you're doing. And the mental resilience, I do believe this, we should be taught that teaching this in schools,
absolutely. Yeah.
you
I've
know?
just gone into, and I didn't think this would have happened when so I resigned. I'll be doing 1 day a week at Liverpool College starting in September. This is just because of someone that I've met. And what's happening is they've come up with a really good initiative, which is, instead of the 16 to 18-year-olds going back into college to learn business studies from teachers, they're getting people in that own their own businesses and got experience in business, to go in and teach these kids all about every aspect of sort of business and business studies. So it's real people who've got real jobs, real businesses, who are not volunteering time, because we are getting paid to go and do it. But it's coming from lived experience. So I can be going in talking about resilience 1 day. I can be talking about any sort of bit of the curriculum that they want us to do, but it's not going to be a teacher teaching them. So that's going to be an exciting thing that's sort of sprouted up in the sort of past couple of months.
I love that, because I mean, our school system is all for, yes, do really well. until this day when you're going to leave, but nobody teaches you what about if life goes wrong? How do we deal with that? You never get taught that in school. I know I definitely wasn't. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
we've kind of been like the lost generation, haven't we? It's like, here, have a drink, and it's like,
I know. Crack on.
yeah, exactly that. So I think those two areas are absolutely fascinating. So well done. So is there, apart from hiking, is there anything else you've incorporated into your life?
Yeah, I mean, years ago, that's what I used to do. I used to go out and I used to just be parties, festivals. I got involved with a band called 808 State when I was sort of in the mid 90s. That took me, I was with them for like, not in the band, but I was with them on their periphery. I was co-presenting their radio show for like sort of 10 years, just off the back of me putting a phone call into them. So I've got a keen interest in music. I do like getting out DJing. I just do that as a hobby now. You know, I used to really sort of enjoy it. So music's a big thing. I've just partnered with a company called Zinzino, which is all about cellular health. Because I think if I'm going to do something now, it's got to resonate with where I am, who I am, and what it is that I'm trying to achieve in life. And I'm on this like healing mission because I think I've got a gift for it. I think because of all the suffering that I've done, I'd like to be able to go out and help more people. This is all about healing people from the inside, from a cellular level. And it's again, this has only happened in the last sort of 4 months, but that's something that I'm big into promoting as well. I'm going doing a presentation on this Thursday night, just teaching people about what it is. It's all really about how we've been affected by ultra processed foods.
Yeah.
It's about being out of balance in your omega-6 and omega-3 ratio and how important that is to the actual, because you've got like 73 trillion cells, and every single one of those cells, if they're out of balance, they're not absorbing nutrients, and that's where silent inflammation is coming from. And all these health conditions that have only really started coming around since ultra processed food started coming in like 50s and
Yeah.
60s, spiked massively. So it's really just about educating people. And Zindino, what they do is a test-based nutrition company. So you take a test at the beginning, that goes away to a lab in Norway, you get your results back, and then you test again in 120 days after you start taking this balance oil, which brings you back into balance. It's genius. It's really simple. But I mean, I've been taking this oil now for 2, 3 months. And just before I started taking it, I don't know, it was probably related to work as well, but my blood pressure was sky high. So I get like a vitality health test once a year for my insurance. And it was like when I went, it was nearly 160. And it was like, that's
Wow.
ridiculously high. So she took it again in 5 minutes, went down to 150, and it went down to 145, which says you need to go to the doctors and get this checked. So I did. And I had to do 2 weeks worth of blood tests, blood pressure tests, twice in the morning, twice in an evening for a week. And the average was about 142. It was my blood pressure. So I've been taking this balance oil now for 2.5 months, and I've just taken the second lot of tests with the doctor because I said I don't want to go on any medication. I want to see if this natural product can work, and it's down to 120
Yeah, yeah.
already.
Wow.
So that's just it and it's curing all. It's not curing, but it's helping so many ailments. That's why I'm really passionate about it because I think we've just accepted the norm that to eat. You walk into a supermarket now, and probably eighty
Oh,
percent of the stuff in there isn't food.
yeah. No,
You know,
no. Do you know what? We talk about this all the time. It's because it's one of those things where eating healthy is actually quite hard work today, isn't it? Because
absolutely.
we're a generation of like instant gratitude,
Yeah,
and supermarkets play on this. And you can even that they're even selling a health food, and then you look on the packet like all the protein stuff at the minute that's that's not
it's
actually
got protein
protein.
on it, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's sad because people are trying to be healthy,
Mm,
but I think it has to start from the top as well. But learning how to make healthy choices for ourselves as well
yeah.
is
It's
massive.
the big food companies are geniuses at what they're doing because they're paying people hundreds of thousands of pounds a year to make sure that when we you get these products that they taste good, and like you said, it's instant gratification. It makes you want more, and they've got very little nutrients in, but if you look on the back, this is what I started doing, and this is why I've got into Zinzino about 2.5 years ago. I listened to a podcast. I think it was on Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's program,
Yes.
and it was all about ultra processed foods, and that sort of really got me thinking. And I was like, I think I eat really healthy. And I got home and started looking at all the packets of stuff that I've got. And I was like, shit, there's like
Yeah.
30 ingredients in that. And then just
Yeah.
like an ordinary loaf of bread, there's 30 odd ingredients in that. And it just made me so everything now I just pick up and I look at and I analyze, right, I'm not eating that. And I've just become much better at looking at what it is that's going into my body. Not perfect by any means, but now I'm aware of it, I'm catching myself, and I try and eat as much whole food as I possibly can do now, because it's just scary what's in our food.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Like I say, the modern world isn't built for health, whether it's what you put in your mouth, what you're listening to, what you're seeing.
Yeah,
It's sad. It is sad. So no wonder all the health, kind of the mental health's on the rise, physical health problems are on the rise.
yeah,
We are the most connected we've ever been, yet the most loneliest.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's absolute insanity.
yeah. The disconnection is frightening. And I put a post up, it was about 2 weeks ago. And it was just, I think it was when Glastonbury was on. And I was sat at home. I was having a bit of a down day, and I just thought, I need to go and do something here. Normally, I love Glastonbury, and I sit there and I watch it, but I was just feeling a bit pissed off. So anyway, I gets in the car, and I just made this 2 minute video that I'm feeling a bit shit. I'm still in recovery, but I'm going to the gym. I'm going to go and sort myself out. And the amount of people that commented on that, it just struck something, and it just made me realise how lonely some people are and how
Yeah,
big it is out there, and there's not enough to sort of conquer it. We just sat there on these screens looking at them all
yeah,
day. We just become so disconnected, and that just makes anxiety worse. Because the one big thing about me on social media is that I don't put out like a highlights reel. I will always put out a balanced view. So if I'm having a shit day, I'll put that I'm having a shit
yeah.
day. But then I'll always put a bit of a positive spin. I'm trying to do something about it. But we get sucked into looking at these perfect lives that are not perfect lives, because
No,
people are just posting what they want us to see. And that has quite a negative effect on people's mentality when they watch it all day.
of course it is. Like we're on bombarded, and it's the quickest way to make yourself feel like shit, right?
Yeah.
It's sad. You did put a post on. You went to see Oasis, didn't you?
God, it was a life changing experience. I
I
knew it
loved
was going to
your
be good.
post.
Oh, it was so good. I mean, look, I'm 2 years, 4 months into not drinking and not doing anything now. And I was stood in the middle of this crowd, bouncing up and down. There's people around me left, right, and centre. And because I've done it for so many years, I can spot it a mile off. I can see what's happening. I can see when people around me are taking gear,
Yeah,
and I've got no problem with that, because I did it for years, so I'm no one to judge. But when I'm surrounded literally by this crowd of people just doing it, I just stood there and I was just looking at it, big grin on my face, and I was like, I've actually arrived. This is like, it felt so good to be in power of that situation and to be enjoying it more than I would be if I was off in Barnet.
yeah.
It was brilliant. The whole day from start to finish, I absolutely loved it. So yeah, going somewhere sober for me is just amazing. And they even had
Because
an alcohol-free bar.
that, do you know what? More places are doing that now.
Yeah,
We
I know.
actually went to a festival. I mean, it was a family festival a couple of weeks ago, and they had no bar at all. You ought to have heard the amount of people complaining. And I'm like, they obviously
Can
didn't put
imagine.
that on the ticket, did they?
No, 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 no. Oh, it's a prerequisite, that, isn't it? You've got to have a bar.
But a lot of people struggle giving up alcohol because of that reason. The
It's
fear
tough
of
when you first
how
do
will I
it.
cope when I go out?
Yeah,
Will I be sociable? It's a big fear for people, isn't it?
massive, because we get brought up. And I'm sure you was the same. When you're growing up, alcohol is part of the culture, and it is.
Yes.
Wherever you go, whatever the event might be, whether it's a christening, a funeral, a wedding, it's just you are bombarded with it. So to remove yourself from it takes a lot of guts. And the way that I did it is I just had to literally remove myself from all of those circles, which was tough
Yes.
because it meant I was just isolating myself, because I knew I wasn't strong enough to go and put myself in those situations and end up not doing the same thing that I'd done for all
Mm.
those years. So that's where the hiking, the isolation, just I'd go to work, I'd come home, I'd go to bed, I'd wake up, I'd go to the gym, and I sort of got myself into those sort of really, really good habits and just got used to being in my own company. And I did that for, well, I'm still doing it now. I'm still not as social as I was, but I don't feel like I need to be.
No, that's good because you've learned that you're all right on your own, as in with your own company.
Yeah.
And that's quite a big thing as well, because a lot of
Oh, it's
people
massive.
can't. Mm,
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are scared of sitting in, and that's one thing you've got to get really good at is sitting with your emotions. Because I ran away from them for 30 years, so doing
yeah,
all this sort of self help made me realize it's all right to sit there and feel shit because actually you're feeling it instead of numbing it with drink or another
yeah,
substance.
yeah. That's it. I mean, I don't know whether it's probably more on a male side of thing, but crying and feeling shit regularly gets covered up with let's have a drink, let's go and I don't know, create a bit of attention somewhere else.
Yeah,
There was that saying back in the day, big boys don't cry.
yeah.
I mean, that's horrific, right?
That's as a
Whereas you're
boy and a man
human,
when you
we're
could,
all designed
yeah,
to feel every emotion, whether you're male or
yeah,
female.
yeah, yeah. But it's sort of conditioned out of us that when we sort of men growing up, and especially from my history as well, being in the army, that's one thing
Military,
you
yeah.
didn't do. Yeah, I mean, I remember coming back from the Gulf, and the sergeant major who wasn't actually in the Gulf, but he was just in Germany when we got back, and because of all the trouble that had got caused with the drugs and stuff, he pulled me to one side one day because we've been to Rotterdam, and this was while I was waiting for my court martial, and we'd been to this club called the Parkzicht in Rotterdam, which was an absolute blinding rave club. But we went on Thursday, and we didn't get back till Tuesday, so it was
Wow.
like a 4 or 5 day bender. We ended up we was trying to rob a car on the way back. We'd lost all our money. We ended up having to jump on a train from Holland into Germany. It was a shit show. And then when we got back to camp, he got me in this office and he was giving it me royal. And he said to me, he said, you wasn't in a proper war. I was in the Falklands. And it was just like, he says, you've got nothing to be upset about you. And I was just like, that was the kind of mentality that you had to sort of deal with it. And
Yeah,
you still get that as a man. Just don't cry. And it's becoming more open now. More blokes are actually starting communicating better. We're not great at it, but it is getting better. You know, there's a lot
yeah,
of self-help. There's a lot of men's groups starting up now, like Andy's Man Club and organisations like that that are really becoming sort of effective for getting blokes chatting.
yeah. I absolutely love that because I mean, therapy can go so far, but I absolutely think, men need other men
Yeah,
to stand shoulder to shoulder with.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I keep going back to evolution, but it was the men that we used to go out shoulder to shoulder in the tribes. Men have lost that a little bit now. I mean, how many of them that go to a meet up on a Sunday afternoon to go to the pub now?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's lost massively. Yeah, so I do feel for men in that respect because I do believe that you need somebody to go, do you know what? It's going to be all right. I felt the same, you know, like drop the pride and talk.
Yeah, drop the pad, have a chat. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
having a chat with one of your mates or someone else. It's sometimes better if someone that you don't know and you can just. I've done some work with
yeah,
an up and coming charity in Warrington who are similar to an Andy's Man Club called More Than Men, and they're doing exactly the same thing. Just they have like brew and banter nights, and just I've been in doing some chats about growth mindset, and I'm probably going to go back there in a couple of weeks. But it's just getting guys together, going doing stuff outdoors. They go for walks, um, they just get together and talk about things. And the two guys that run it have both had their problems with sort of drink and bits, but they've come out the thick end and they want to help people. And just think, oh, that's brilliant. So that's
yeah.
why I've really got involved with those guys. But more places like that, the better.
That's absolutely true. Do you ever look back at yourself and go, bloody hell, I've changed?
I'm not changed. I would never change anything that I've been through
No,
because
that's great.
I had an amazing time when I was doing all these parties. I was the one that was always the last guy up. I wouldn't go to bed. No one would outdo me. I was just like I was that guy. I went to a festival once and stayed awake for 4 days and just so I wouldn't get beaten. And it's like I look back now and think, how did I live? But yes, I've changed, but I've changed because I wanted to change, and
Yeah,
I'm now sat in this place where, listen, I'm I'm humble enough to know that it can all go tits up at any given moment. So I've got to keep my wits about me. I'm not thinking that I'm perfect by any means. I'm just making a better life for myself. I've given up all of the nonsense, and I want to just be this version of myself. And but I do love being who I am at the minute. I'm really happy with it.
I love seeing your videos. You did a video a while back where you said your Sunday mornings had changed and you sat outside, go outdoors.
Yeah, that's become sort of a new addiction now. Just go and spending money and go outdoors.
Yeah, it did make me laugh because like you saved it right to the end of the video, and I was thinking, oh my god, has he gone out and had a drink? And you swing
Yeah,
your
it was the
camera, and I
wind
was
up one
like,
when it's saying, "Yeah, I think I've got a problem. If anyone can help me," and then just got out and show outdoors. Quite
I
good.
absolutely love that. So, are you like taking people on coaching at the minute? Where can people find you?
So I've literally just gone live with my website, which is my business is called Your Comeback Coach.
Oh, I like
So
that. Yeah,
yeah, so it's pretty much sums up everything that I've gone from and come to. So it's yourcomebackcoach.co.uk. You can get me on Instagram at your_comeback coach. Or if you just want to see the fun side of the island, you can go on Keavo, which is Keavo Up A Mountain, and that's on TikTok and Instagram, which is pretty much where I make all my silly videos, and just that's the non-professional side of me.
I used to inspire people, mate, by doing that. Just so out
Yeah,
of interest, how old are you now?
54.
Do you know what? I also love that because I did a podcast last week with a chap that helps men increase testosterone and everybody over 40 because apparently now 40 is old. So you are getting out there hiking. So you're showing people that way as well.
Absolutely. I'll never feel my age. I never have done. And I've always sort of had this youthful exuberance to me where I'll just act like a child and I don't care how old that my number says I am. If it makes me laugh, I'm just going to go and do it because that's what I enjoy doing.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. Did I see a video about you meditating and journaling as well?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Every morning I wake up, I'll do at least 10 minutes meditation,
Yeah,
um, guided meditation. I journal every single morning, every single night. I've got reams of books there since I've started doing it because they only last for like 6 months, the journals that I get. But it's great going back through them thinking, oh, shit, yeah, I remember when I was doing that.
yeah,
So, yeah, I just find reflection and being honest with yourself and giving yourself credit where it's due because we don't do enough of that. But we're easy to go in on hard on ourselves and
yes,
sort of give ourselves a kick in, and that negative bias kicks in. But that's one thing I'm big at, certainly with my clients, is trying to get them to realize the good things that they're doing and make notes of them before they go to bed. Just have that bit of awareness that it doesn't have to be big. It could just be something
the
little that you've done in
tiniest
the
thing.
day. Yeah, as long as you're making yourself aware that you're actually doing good stuff and changing those perceptions of yourself, because it's really important, that self-talk.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, neuroscience massively backs journaling.
Yeah,
Um, I think many people kind of push it off as well, thinking that won't work. But actually, like you say, finding those little wins in a day, the smallest thing, it doesn't need to be massive. I do believe,
being clear as well, isn't it? I think if you what I like is I like waking up in the morning and writing my intentions for the day,
yes,
and then realizing that actually, right. So if I want to show up for myself like this, and this, and you can always revert back to that during the day and think, right, I've wrote that in my journal. It just keeps you more present and it gives you more of not a target, but keeps you more accountable. I think during the day.
yeah, absolutely. It does kind of bring your focus back because the world is so busy and our brains are taking that much in that actually you do need to focus. Right, I want to feel like this today, and to feel like that, I need to do this. And then, like, you can have the worst day ever, and if you can find like three things that went well for you that day, you're on to a winner. Yeah, so I absolutely love that. And meditation as well. It took me a while to get into meditation. I'm not going to lie. I spent years going, I can't do it. I'm thinking about what I need to get from Morrison's and things
Yeah.
like this. So I actually booked myself on Joe Dispenza course because I was like, I am going to learn to meditate. And then I learned that you don't have to clear your mind because you can't. So it's great.
Yeah. I think the beauty of it is what I like doing is because your brain will be running off and it'll be racing through all these mad crazy thoughts. But I just like bringing it back to the moment and then thinking, actually, this is what it's all about, isn't it? Because you
Yeah,
will go running off, your mind will go racing, but then if you've got the sort of mental awareness to bring yourself back and ground yourself in the moment again. It's just a game of that all the way through, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's only been a few of those occasions when I've had that proper moment where everything's just gone, and I will forever chase that, because that's such a great feeling
Yeah.
when you have that. They're very few and far between, but
Yeah.
I just love it because it just grounds you and it gets you into really good. I like sort of looking at the manifestation side of things, trying to bring things in for myself. And it's funny, when I was going through my troubles at work, that's what I was doing. That's what I was manifesting. And I was imagining myself driving away from the work that I've just left in a car that I'd just bought, and sort of waving goodbye to that. And what, 3 weeks ago that happened. I went and took my company car back that I'd had for 3 weeks, 3 months, and drove away in my own car. And it was just like, that's one that's just come true.
Yeah. I love that. Your brain looked out for it, didn't it? Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I absolutely love that. You're absolutely incredible. So if you kind of, if somebody's sat on the fence and they're really like you, like sick of your own shit,
Yeah.
what would be your advice to them? Because change is daunting, isn't it? It's the unknown.
Yeah. I think the only thing that really sort of got me through it at the beginning of the early stages was realizing that needed to be accountable.
Yeah.
And then once that penny had landed, that no one else was going to come and fix this for me. There was no sort of magic pill. There's no magic potion. Doesn't matter how much I drink. Doesn't matter how much gear I might take. I will always end up back in this same place. So unless I get to grips with what this is all about, and that's still an ongoing process, by the way. I'm not waving a flag saying I'm fixed, because I don't think anybody ever is. You
No,
just
we
keep
are
putting.
human. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was just, like I say, just realizing that I needed to be accountable. And if you can realize that, and then you're willing to go and do something about it, however that looks for you, because everyone's different, you'll have something to draw strength from.
I love that. Absolutely love it. So, have you got more big hikes planned?
Up all the time. I can't do one this week because I'm in the middle of, well, I've just wrote a book, which is another thing that's come since
Oh
sort of,
wow!
well, it's not actually a full book. I'm writing a chapter in a book. It's a series of books called Start Over, which has been created by this mastermind called Marco Robinson. He come up with the idea, and it's about turning any loss into a sensational comeback. So that's
Love,
the story. There's sort of 10 chapters in each book. So it's 14 authors in each book, and there's 10 books in the first season. All right. So we're currently running through the first season, and we've been launching them. So we've done London, we've done Dublin, they've done Hungary, but I couldn't make Hungary. It's Edinburgh this weekend. So we're going to Edinburgh this weekend to launch the fourth book. So it's really exciting. So that's my story is going to be in season 2, book 1, which will probably be out February and March next year. But that's really exciting time to be involved in this. So that's just another thing that's sort of picked up and is growing momentum as well.
I love that. Well, I'm climbing Snowdon in a couple of weeks. Have you got any advice for me?
Plenty water, take plenty food, take good food with you, good water, waterproofs. Just make sure you've got everything with you. I always take too much, make sure I've got my waterproofs, make sure I've got plenty of layers, make sure just being prepared, I think, and go with someone are you going with someone that knows what they're doing and where they're going?
I don't think he knows where he's going because he's never been before. But
If you're going up one of the main tracks, you'll be all right, because there's a
yeah,
few
we'll
big
go.
tracks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just enjoy yourself. Don't push yourself too hard. It's nice just having got, make sure you're eating regularly on the move. I try and eat something every 15 minutes, half an hour, even if it's just something little, because at the
yeah,
beginning when I started hiking, I would go for like 2, 3, 4 hours without eating, and then have this massive crash, and then have to take loads of food on, then be weighed down. So it's just eating little and often, drinking little and often, just keeps you in a better sort of frame of mind, and physically as well.
I love that. I've got one last question for you, and everybody, I ask this to everybody, and it's the hardest question. They hate me for it. Andy, tell me 3 good things about yourself.
Things about myself: I'm accountable.
Yes.
I am very, very honest, and I actually love myself. nowadays.
I love that. You can look in the mirror and smile.
Yeah, and it's took me a long time to get to this point because I used to dislike the guy that I was looking at because my actions led me down that place. Now, because of my actions, I can wake up in the morning and be really, really proud of who I am and think, you know what, regardless of what happens today, it's going to be a good day because, I am who I am.
I love that. My lovely, you are such an inspiration. It takes balls to get out there and share your story and to
Yeah,
help the way that you help people. And the world needs more people like you.
thank you very much. That means a lot.
So keep on doing what you're doing. Everybody, you've got to give him the follow, even if you do follow him, Keavo Up A Mountain, because his videos are
Absolutely.
absolutely priceless.
You will find some entertaining stuff on that because I'm generally going around the mountains just inventing things that have never happened and trying to convince people that they have. So if you like that kind of thing, you will love it.
I love it. And so give him a follow. If you want help from him, honestly, everything that this man says is 100% genuine. And he is out there to help everybody. You are like a lighthouse, my lovely to people.
You very much. That's what I'm trying to be. I'm there to try and sort of guide other people now to stop making the mistakes that I made.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Take care, my lovely.